you'll take a chance. Yes, you'll take a chance. Finally take a chance.
This program is the work ethic required to really do it, is how hard you have to work, because if you got here, you're talented. If you got this far, you've got something going for you. But if you can take that and then apply really, really hard work, it's amazing what you can do for yourself. And so I'm amazed. This experience is a new chapter in not just my career or resume, but in myself as a human being and as an artist. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted coming out of this. And I think that I got it. So it's not easy. I think a lot of people that, or hopefully some people that will end up watching these videos, are people going, oh, I'm thinking about going after that Banff Citadel program. And it's amazing. It's wonderful. I love it. But it's hard work. And you should know that. You should know that there's going to be days where, in Banff, there was days when I was on the phone bawling to my partner saying, I'm coming home, I can't do this anymore. I can't take it. And if you can work through those, this is the best experience ever. But you're going to have those days. You're going to suffer.
Blanchette, go watch the door. You must knock. I almost ran you through.
My husband is not downstairs. Have you seen him, monsieur?
Yes, madame. Monsieur! Come quickly.
This program that I love so much is that we have a month to sit together, create a family essentially, because it's 24/7 for 4 weeks, and talk with amazing people that we then get to take from being mentors and teachers to being mentors and colleagues and fellow peers in a play, and just go on this massive journey together for so long. And so you start out with heart, and then you get to enter into the rehearsal process that demands so much heart, and you've already got it there. So it's been incredible, because not only was it super challenging and super terrifying at times, it's ended up being super rewarding because everyone's just doing it with heart. And I think that that is in the core of what I was looking for in this program. That's the core of what I got out of it. And that was, I remember sitting with Bob in the interview, and he says, why do you want to do this? And I said, I want to reignite my passion for this. It's only been 3 years since I've started the career, but I need to love it again. And that happened. And as a result of that happening, my entire life changed, and then hopefully I changed as an artist. So it's been amazing.
I have written a letter today, and that letter is not yet gone.
Then give it to me, madam.
To nothing but the kid.
Learning experience for me, not only in terms of the work, not only in terms of the craft of becoming a better actor, but I think it's given me incredible opportunities that are so rare to develop myself as a person, learn so much about me, and which is, it's a real, I mean, it's quite a gift, because there's really, you can't help but become better at what I do as an actor.
There, and there was all these new people, and everything was blowing, and here's you know, plays to read, and here's sides to learn, here's a scene to learn, and here's what we're going to do, here's our goal, all this stuff, and it was great, and a learning experience. And then somewhere along the road, you fall into the eye of it, where you just start to mellow out and understand what you're doing on a stronger level, I think. So for me personally, it was, I went in there, it was, you know, intimidating, it was new, and, you know, it felt crazy. But then you start to find a balance to it, and then once you found the balance, I found personally, that was when the most, you know, growth as an actor started to come from. And now at the end here, 5 months later, I feel like I'm in a great place to just move forward from, a great place to continue from, you know, with it, that, you know, a new level of just knowledge, you know. And we were talking about it yesterday in the group, and about the things we come back with, and I described it as, you know, after leaving theater school, it felt like you're walking in the dark a little bit, and every now and then you pick up something in the dark, or somebody hands you something, you work with somebody that gives you a hint, but so many of those, you know, so much of this industry is unknown or undefined, and so doing this program really helped to start to clarify a lot of just simple things in life. You know, everything from etiquette to technique is just all more tangible now, I think.
I swear the bells began to ring. We found that we were so alike. It was amazing.
Limits are what I thought I could do, I guess, and that was hard. It's funny when you think you've reached sort of where you can go, and then somebody's like, no, actually, there's more. So still sort of processing a lot of what I've been learning and a lot of that, but that's one of the big things for me. And being in a company where I felt safe to do that.
That does not make her any less guilty!
Incredible, and I think 5 months.
The more she forgets her high position, the more degrading her fall. And besides, I determined long ago to put an end to all these petty intrigues.
Over the years, I've built up a wall around myself to protect myself from the times that I'm not working, from the rejection, from the constant negativity of the business and the difficulty of the business itself. And going into the program, those walls were there, and it's taking me a long time. I'm still working at it, and I think I'm going to have to work at it for a long time to break those walls down and to allow myself to be vulnerable, because it is such a weird thing that we do. We have to be vulnerable.
I will never fall asleep again, not for decades, no, not even then. My life was in this story. How could she be so cruel? How can so much be lost so easily? I wrote my heart out.
A rewarding learning experience that we were talking yesterday about what we've taken away from it, and I think I will continue to understand that as I go back home and from project to project. But what I already know, and I spoke yesterday about feeling more confident in communicating in myself as an artist. You know, in theater school, I was always obsessed with the student-teacher relationship and looking for validation and feeling that I wasn't worthy enough and just wanting them to like me. And this process has allowed me to respect myself as an artist a little bit more, and because I've been able to communicate with various teachers, with yourself, with Brenda, with James, with Brenda, with Bob, and it allowed me to feel more comfortable in that environment, and to play the role of, you know, of Joe has been just such a pleasure and treat. And you know, I'll have a real hard time saying goodbye to that and to this family and this story, and so it's like me getting like choked up. It's been wonderful, and the group has been phenomenal, and I feel really privileged to have been here, and the support in this community, in this theater community, is unbelievable. Having come from Toronto, you notice a big difference here. People who just want you to succeed.
Expectations as to the expectations I had for myself, what I'm capable of, how fearless I am, qualities in me that I just didn't know if necessarily, you know, I had to basically playing D'Artagnan, carrying a 3-hour show on my shoulders with an amazing team that assisted me, but to really feel until you're on stage and to be able to know if you're capable of that, You know, it's one thing for people to believe in you, but to believe in yourself and to be able to really commit and be able to prove why you're here. I knew I had that, but it's amazing throughout the course when you start either to doubt it or you start to have come up against a wall, and you just have to figure out as an actor, how do I get around it and how do I work through my SHIT at times, you know? And that was an amazing test, and it was great to remind myself that I have those qualities, that I'm flexible, that I'm open to other people's opinions, that I come prepared to the work. But to say all of that, who knows if I would have had that drive and that ambition and that focus had I not had those 4 weeks in Banff. So I think Banff is a real true testament as to how these people
Clouds moving fast and free, sun on a silver sea, a sky that's bright and blue, and some things will never end. The thrill of our magic ride, the love that I feel inside.
It's been a whirlwind of emotions. I feel like the beginning was riveting and really exciting, just because we're surrounded by, every day we're consumed with theater and artists, and not only are we talking about the technicality of doing it, but also a lot of emotions are running high. People are breaking through their walls and working on their craft and working on their personal stuff as well, and we're all going through it together. So I think for me, that part of it, especially the first 2 weeks, was the most exciting and the most challenging as well. And then came the next half of the training, which for me was very difficult. Exciting still, and still all great, but that's when, you know, push came to shove and the teachers were like, okay, so you said you were coming here for something, now you need to work on it, and it's not going to be easy, and I'm gonna, you know, put the knife in and twist it a little bit. and that's what happened, and I found that really hard, just because, you know, I've been working a while in this industry, but a lot of the times, you know, you don't get that person to call you on your shit and say, like, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you need to work on, and, you know, it's not always like that. So to have that opportunity, and sometimes you kind of get a little defensive about it, because it's not something that happens to you very often, but if you just let the walls fall down and let them guide you into where you need to be and what you need to work on, the end result of Banff was just, I was so pleased with that last day, not just for myself, but for everybody. Like, I just saw so much happening with everyone. And coming to Edmonton was crazy transition. And I think the first 2 weeks, it was kind of like grieving for that time that we had in Banff, and grieving for that closeness that we had, and for the little bubble that we found ourselves into, and you know, the reality of it all, the real contract, the real rehearsal period, but once we started working on the shows, that the connections that we had in the beginning, to be able to put that in there, and also to welcome other people into our world, and we couldn't have asked for a better cast in both productions, as far as new people coming in, and also keeping within our own circle of performers that we started out with. And it's been such a rich experience to be able to put on a show with people that you trust implicitly with everything that you have, right? So I think it did the show a great
Well, then, Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan, forward!
Time has been
Draw your swords!
so incredible. I think there's something peculiar about this environment that is very unique. You guys don't have to do this. There are other programs that are somewhat similar to this, although they're being pared away and constantly evolving, where I kind of get the impression that it's like you've got somebody who's decided to set up a program where they take a bunch of mid-career actors because it's all for the sake of getting a grant, and there's no benefit to it. Whereas, you know, here I get this overwhelming sense that it's synergistic. Yeah, we get something out of it. We get 14 actors who form an ensemble and then become part of a bigger ensemble that can therefore sort of take the best advantage of this weird method, this backwards method that we have in Canada of creating theatre. But it's for all the right reasons. You go look at what we're doing right now. You know, we finished in Banff. We could have just gone on to the contract, but to have, you know, the time and the investment to come back and go, yeah, you're on contract, and I know you're tired, but we still want to invest in you guys and take the time on the afternoons to let you work on stuff to make you more marketable, to keep that going so that there's so much more you can do afterwards.
You make me smile, you make me laugh, you make me care. How can I explain inside my heart? I feel a pain when you're not there. Though we are not at all alike, you make me feel alive. If we had that in common, that one small thing in common, love could be like a small umbrella in the rain.
It's been great. There's kind of no really other way around that. It's been filled with so much stuff. We've been exhausted. We've been ecstatic. We've been laughing. We've been crying. We've kind of run the gamut of so many things. And it's just been, it seems like we're in a constant state of evolution. We're always moving forward. I mean, we talked a lot about in rehearsals for both plays, playing it forward. I talked about affecting another person, playing your objectives and what you want from somebody. And I think that's kind of a great overarching statement for the whole experience is we've all been playing it forward in the sense of pushing ourselves forward, pushing ourselves to improve and to get better, to reach out, to connect, to push ourselves forward in the best way. And I think and we've done it really as an ensemble. It's become a special group of people so the environment feels safe. And by that ensemble, I don't just mean the 14 participants. I mean all the mentors that were with us in Banff, the directors and fellow actors that we've had here. You know, we've all kind of, we're like a vortex. We just keep pulling in the people around us and expanding and growing in the best way. And I think ultimately, that's been so rewarding over the course of the 5 months, is becoming an ensemble, allowing ourselves to
On day one, when I got here, I didn't know anybody. I hadn't worked with or met any of the human beings that I was going to be spending a lot of time with over the next 5 months. And that's always a little scary for me, you know.
Working with the people. Yeah, absolutely. And day one, you could kind of tell that by the end of week one, it was solidified that it was going to be the people that taught me more than anything. And that still is.
To be involved in a company like this is a real first for me. Not only the scale of the shows, the size of the companies, but just the incredible, the work and the dedication.
A certain fear, or maybe a very low, a very subtle fear that maybe I couldn't, that I'm not good enough, or that I was behind or had more learning to do.
I think my first thought is Little Women, and just the family, especially the sisters, the sisterhood, and yeah, the creating a family and that play on and off stage has definitely been one of the highlights. I think being asked to be braver and bolder and not being sure either what that meant or how to do it, I guess.
You know, establishing relationships with this group, having that in Banff and coming into rehearsal with that, I think was one of the best things, because you know, that first table we did of Little Women, all of a sudden I'm looking at my sisters and my mom I had just met, but you know, the sisters, or Laurie, Professor Bear, I know them all, and having it from Banff, so having that connection beforehand, and I think that's just served us so well. You know, the performance aspect of it is the scariest. I think in the rehearsal hall I'm at my most comfortable, I think, as a lot of artists are. So getting up into that theater and learning how to share what we've developed in that nice little small intimate rehearsal hall with 700 people was intimidating at the beginning, and realizing we had a really short time to adjust to that space because of Three Musketeers. So initially that was scary to how do I feel comfortable not looking at the person I've looked at for 3 months and trusting that they're behind me and we can have that connection because it's been established for so long, but I can also let the audience in. So that was scary and intimidating, but in the end, when I've slowly learned to embrace it, is one of the most powerful things in the theater.
In the end, that I'm not alone, that it's you can't have expectations that you're driving something on your own. You have to rely on your peers, your teammates on stage. I knew that, but it's hard to remind yourself that until you're on stage and you feel that support. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty unique, and well, not having a social life for 4 months, it's really hard, because as an actor, when you're coming into a program, you're meeting new people, and you want to get to know them, and you want to go out, and you want to do the after drink after the show, and you can only know yourself. And I knew if I had done that, I wouldn't have been able to sustain. And I had people along the way sort of guiding me, or at least in my ear saying, you know, for something like this, you know, watch yourself, listen to your body. And that was the probably strongest challenge in carrying a show where you can't rely on mics, you can't rely on an understudy, it's yourself.
Moments, and it's my fellow actor, it's the course of the play, it's the journey we've been on, it's expanding out beyond that, it's the rehearsal process, it's where we're working, it's the experiences we've had together, but they've all culminated in what we do, what we're attempting to, what we hope to achieve. There's those moments of that something special happens between two actors on stage, and that is joyful. There were challenges that were issued, you know, the gauntlet was put down to work towards things that perhaps in retrospect, for whatever set of circumstances, I don't know, that perhaps I was resistant to without knowing I was being resistant to it.
So for me, it's been a journey of self-discovery, first and foremost. I know there are things that I will have taken away that I can put in my toolbox, but self-discovery is the main thing, and the program challenged me for the first time in many, many years. I realized I have not been challenged the way I was challenged here in many years. through the program, through working with Bob, and I've also realized that that's lacking out there. You know, the fact that you guys have that passion and drive to make the best work possible, to serve the play, to serve the show, to create that ensemble that is together and supportive and strong, is sorely lacking out there, and that we need to be challenged, and challenge is good. Otherwise we get lazy, and we get away with things, and we just keep going because we get away with them. And so that's been part of the journey for me too, is accepting the fact that I have perhaps become lazy.
I think what brought me the most joy is the Chekhov workshops that we had. It was a challenge for me, like being a musical theater performer and having, you know, the assumption that, you know, when you do musical theater, it's more lighter and there's not a lot of drama to it, and going to do something like Anton Chekhov, which is like, you know, traditional theater, and petrified. I was just petrified of it all, and I did my best to learn it. And once I got comfortable with the text, then Brenda really guided me through a lot of the emotions, and she gave me focus points to concentrate on and things like that. And at one point, 3 of us got together, the 3 scenes of Ivanov, they all got together, and I saw scenes from other parts of the show for the first time. Without reading, obviously read the script, but seeing the shows in front of me. And I thought, for me, that gave me great insight in my character and their relationships. And when I got there, I felt so emotional myself. And I thought I was, you know, really in it. I thought I was doing a great job, you know, and I was like, woohoo, yay for me. And at the end, you know, Brenda, and that's what I love about Brenda, she will be honest. She will be honest with you, and she'll let you know, whether it's the honest truth, which is what I love about her, absolutely love about her.
The biggest joy is the biggest fear that I have coming out, which was the void that I faced coming here, and the fire that I found here, the void that I faced leaving. And that's what I took from it.
Thank you. I've not felt like this since theater school, you know? We're grown human beings, we're professionals. We don't cry at the end of shows anymore.
Because we had a really special group and everyone came selfless and without a personal agenda.
I would say thank you all for just thank you.
I would say thank you to them, to each and every one of them, for being brave alongside me, and that there's only forward to go from here.
Yeah, they have been so diverse and lovely, and when I talk to people back home about the program, so much of it is the people. So just a lot of gratitude, I guess.
Thank you. Thanks for supporting me in my struggles. I struggled with my confidence in singing at the beginning, and they've been there from the beginning and just wanting me to succeed and been so genuinely behind me throughout all of it. So thanks to all of it.
Not goodbye, because I look forward to working with each and every one of them.
Well, 14 of the most, I'd have to say, tight-knit, admirable, respectable, diverse, powerfully talented people that I've worked with in a very, very long time. I would thank them for respect and passion and generosity.
I really hope to God that I have the opportunity to work with each and every one of them again at some point.
I would say this has been one of the most amazing experiences in my life, having to do with my career and also having to do with just meeting amazing people that I know are going to be successful and that I know are going to defy the odds, and whatever ends up happening in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll always have the time that we spent together these past 4 months, and I'll always look back on it. I'll always remember it and feel a bit emotional.